are back live. And welcome to anyone that's watching us. If you're there, I'm glad to know you're there. We are talking with Shane tonight. And Shane he works at Olympic Project and Monster X Radio. And let's see if I can find anything else here. I finally found your Facebook page. Um, and you are from where, Shane?
Originally from Scotland, and then San Diego, then Oregon, and now finally where I plan on resting, Washington State.
So you're up in Washington State. You're
Yes.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm originally out of California. I'm a transplant to Wisconsin.
Whereabouts in California?
I lived about 21 miles south of Fresno, California.
Okay. I was down more towards San Diego, East County, like Ramona area,
Yep,
Escondido.
yep.
Yeah.
I know pretty much all of Cali. Born and raised there, and my stomping grounds up until I was about 23 years old. So,
Yeah.
so yeah. So let's see. I'm going to ask you a question there that way people can get to know you a little bit if they haven't found your site and stuff. So, what got you interested and involved in the paranormal and the cryptids here?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Scotland, I was interested in cryptids in general. Loch Ness Monster, Mokulembe, Yeti, you name it. And of course, Sasquatch. Sasquatch always held something dear in my heart. Thought there was something to it. I've been watching so many films and reading so many books. I grew up very interested in paleontology, dinosaurs. Moved over to the States, San Diego area in 1993. And I thought to myself, wow, this is amazing. You know, I'm relatively close to the Patterson-Gimlin film up there in Bluff Creek. You know, I mean, I'm in the States, guys. I can get there. Didn't do much other than reading books and every documentary I could get my hands on to watch. That was it up until about 97. 97, I got my wheels and started driving. Started doing some research out in San Bernardino area, up in the high desert like Joshua Tree. Alpine Mountains, Cuyamaca, and then I made it up to the Sierras and Yosemite, and I did a lot of stuff for years up in Yosemite, which you would know being from close to Fresno very well.
Oh yeah,
Mark,
I used to actually work in the Yosemite National Forest. I worked at a lodge up there. So.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, from about through about 2006, I was going up there quite frequently, the Sierra, San Bernardino areas and San Diego areas. And I never really never found anything of interest. I talked to a lot of interesting people that had supposed encounters. And then, eventually, 2008, moved up to Oregon after I met my wife, and she's from Oregon. And I thought, dang, here we go. This is I'm in one of the meccas for Sasquatch. And that's really when I started getting out and camping, exploring all around Mount Hood specifically, and the Tillamook coast. And 2011, I was on a fishing trip with two buddies, and I had an encounter. And I wasn't doing anything Bigfoot related. I was on a remote backpacking fishing trip and had an encounter that solidified the existence of Sasquatch for me. There was no doubts this was a real thing. I was completely blown away, after all these years, and I had this encounter, the sighting, and I had two friends with me that experienced it. And for a couple of months, I didn't go to the woods for about a good month or two after that. And then eventually I made it back out there, and I thought, well, shoot, I know where these suckers are at. I can prove this. And that was arrogance on my part. I eventually came to that realization that I can't, this isn't a one-man show, and got a hold of Cliff Barrickman. Eventually made good friends with Cliff Barrickman and some of his friends, and Derek Randalls of the Olympic Project. He's one of the co-founders of the Olympic Project. We became good friends, and eventually I joined the Olympic Project, and I've been made the move up to Washington State to be closer to the Olympics, and been doing that ever since. Working with the Olympic Project, and we're out every week, every weekend. We're constantly out in the woods doing something. And that's just a little bit about me. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So yeah, you said that your first encounter was whenever you weren't even expecting it, and that's usually the way it turns out. when you're least expecting to have anything happen, it happens. That's Murphy's Law, man.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's not one of those things you know, that happened around the Mount Hood area of Oregon. And I've been around that area. I read a lot of books about the area. We just happened to find some remote lakes that we wanted to go and hike into, and wasn't even on my radar as far as Sasquatch. That we were on a fishing trip. I didn't, wasn't doing any
Right.
hollering, any yelling, just hiking like fools, and had this encounter. And like I said, that just got me. I mean, once I knew these things were real, then I'm like, okay, what are you going to do about it?
Right. Right. So, since you've been all through from Southern California all the way up into the um, Washington State area, have you trekked through all of the area there, all the mountainous regions like the Sierras and where the redwoods are, and then up by Mount Shasta, Mount Hood, all that?
Everywhere, yeah, I've been just about everywhere. The Sierras, you know, uh, all up around, like I said, all around Yosemite. I used to do a lot of remote
Hmm.
backpacking out there, and all over Oregon, mainly northwestern Oregon, and I've done some stuff in Central Oregon. I haven't really dispersed like the Crater Lake area in Oregon, but once again, all over Washington. But I usually, we're so stuck right now on some of the research we're doing with the Olympic project. I'm mainly staying in the Olympics because we just got a lot of cool stuff and a lot of exciting stuff going on. And I don't feel the pull anymore to do like ambulance chasing. Here's an encounter, go here. Here's an encounter, go there. We got enough going on in our own backyard that it's hard for us to
Right.
even keep up with. So yeah, I've been up and down the West Coast.
Cool. Now, since you are in Washington State, were you around there whenever Mount St. Helens blew?
No, I moved over in '93, and St. Helens blew up, I believe, 1980. So way before my time out here. But I've been all around Mount St. Helens. In fact, I was invited out there a few years back, 2015, with by the guy the name of Mark Marcel, who, if you're familiar with Ape Canyon out there and the miners, Fred Beck and the miners that had this experience in 1924. Well, that they were being attacked by these what they called apes. I was invited out there to help. The actually Mark Marcel located this cabin that was lost to time. Even though there's not much left, he found the exact spot where this cabin was, and it's an amazing area, and it really solidifies that those miners were definitely there at some point in time, and that
Hmm.
the story of Ape Canyon has a lot more credence to it.
Yeah, because well, the reason I was asking is I heard of audio that's supposed to be out there of a retired soldier, or he was either retired Army or National Guard, and he was talking about during the time that Mount St. Helens blew, that they were they were sent to help with the cleanup and help with rescues and everything, and he claims up and down that they found not just bodies of Bigfoots of various ages, but also live Bigfoots that they actually assisted in nursing back to health. So I was just wondering if you knew anything about that.
I'm familiar with the story, and there's more than one like that out there. I'm familiar with the story. I'm not familiar with the audio per se. I've read transcripts. I think that must have come from that. Yeah, I don't know much more than that, to be honest with you. It's one of those urban legend sort of thing. Did they pull bodies off of Mount St. Helens? I have no idea, and if they did, I have no idea what they did with them. I haven't found any real solid gold when it comes to that story yet. I mean, it's just
Okay.
like it's kind of an urban legend sort of thing
Right. Well,
that's floated around. But who knows?
yeah. Well, I was just kind of wondering because a friend of mine that I meet every now and then on the route that I do, he was telling me about it. He said he ran across it on YouTube. And supposedly, it's on YouTube somewhere, and I haven't been able to find it on there. So I
Hmm.
was just kind of wondering if you had any insight on it. So what parts of the California area did you go to? I know you said Yosemite. Now, that was it. Were you up there around Big Sur and or maybe even Mammoth Lakes, Mammoth Pools, that area?
I all around. I mean, I did a lot of stuff in Yosemite Valley itself. I went up to Half Dome and did a lot of backpacking around there.
Okay.
Tuolumne Meadows and the falls, and then yes, Big Sur. I've been up and down Mammoth, Big Bear, um, Twin Lakes area, and Bishop. up and down there. And then, of course, Redding. You start getting further north, like Redding. I did a lot of stuff in
Right.
Redding.
Right.
All over the place out there. It was a drive for me living in San Diego. You're talking 12, 13-hour drive.
Oh yeah.
So I did so much down in the San Diego area, and there was some incredible stuff. Palomar Mountain down there in San Diego, the Zubies from Alpine, Cuyamaca. Those are really neat areas with a lot of woods and forests, and I did a lot of stuff out there with no luck, really. I mean, other than cougars and stuff like that. It wasn't until I started going north when I really started appreciating how vast the wilderness is, and that's when I got to be up. I got to be further north.
Yeah, you can get yourself mistaken in California with the way that the valley is set up. With you go from one town or one city to the next through the valley, but if you go up into the mountains, you have vastness of wilderness, and a lot of it still hasn't been explored. A lot of it still, unless you're an avid hiker or something like that, you're not going to be able to get up in there very well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
It's huge up in there.
Yeah, you get up into like the Klamath area between Oregon and Washington or California. It's ridiculous how much wilderness is out there.
Oh yeah, that's up around where Mount Shasta is and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now have you did anything around the coastal region? Checking any of that out, like in California and the Oregon area?
Oregon, not California so much. Anytime I was on the coast in California, it was either surfing or just cruising the beaches and the weather. But Oregon, for many from 2008 through 2016, I was between Mount Hood and Tillamook. Tillamook's on the Oregon coast, and that's just an amazing area with loads of stories and history. We did a lot of, we had a small group, the Tillamook Forest Group, that we kind of put together, and we did a lot of, I was out there for years with my buddy Larry Turner, for years out there weekly, conducting experiments and traversing area and hiking and camping. And that area down there, the Tillamook Forest, is an amazing area. If I still lived in Oregon, I'd be out there right now.
Okay. So when you'd go out in the woods and everything, was your investigations mostly at night or during the day?
All of the above, yeah. I think they're both as important. So during the day, what I like to do, generally speaking, is I like camera traps. I like putting up camera traps, and I'll leave them out for months. But I like to put out audio as well, record audio out in the woods. What I really like to do is traverse. I like to get off trail. I hate trails. I like to get off trail, make myself known in an area with the hopes that maybe I'll entice something to come back and check my camp out later. And so I like to get way off trail, explore, leave my scent everywhere, make noise, just like an obnoxious hiker or camper. And at night, pretty much. At night, I'll come back to my camp. I used to leave the camp and do, knocks and yells. I don't do any of that anymore. What I mainly do is I sit around camp, and depending if it's just me or a small group, if it's just me, I'll stay at camp and I'll FLIR. I got a couple of FLIR units, thermal units, and I'll FLIR around. If there's a group of people, what I like to do is leave that group by a campfire and then peel away and FLIR around them and around the general area. But the whole time we're recording audio, and I use different tactics and different things to maybe entice something in. And over the years, a lot of times you're just enjoying a good camping trip, but every once in a while you do get lucky.
Okay. Yeah. So, what kind of techniques do you use other than the FLIR and the traversing off trail?
So sometimes I'll use different pheromone chips. I'll place those out in the woods that are pretty raunchy smelling. They're really stinky. I used to go around and I do knocks and yells and all that sort of stuff. I don't do that anymore. I think it's kind of counterproductive for me personally. Most individuals that have encounters aren't researchers or investigators. They're average people, like you were talking about earlier. They're average fishermen, hikers, hunters, campers. What are they doing? They're being predictable. So I try to make myself fairly predictable and just doing that sort of stuff. Chopping wood by a fire sounds like a knock. So why not just chop wood by a fire? Why, and in talking loud and all that stuff, you're making noise. And if you're in remote areas, you're going to be that point of interest. And that's what I want to do is just make myself a point of interest and see if something will change. I don't do, if I'm out for a week or so, nothing's going on. then sure, I'll do a knock. I'll do a yell. I mean, got nothing to lose. But when I yell too, and very rarely when I do, it's always like a human yell. I like to do like "Hey" or yell someone's name really loud so that it'll echo. I don't really do the whole whoops and long howls and all that. I used to, but I just found that you have a better chance by just being an obnoxious camper and a hiker and explorer and just being very observant. I think the key is being observant.
That actually makes more sense. I watch some ones on TV. They're always
No,
I don't want to knock the name, but they're the ones
don't
that are out
don't don't get
there.
me started.
And it's like, oh, they eat what I eat, and stuff like this, and they're always constantly doing weird stuff that nobody would do out in the wild or out in the woods. If you're hunting, you're going to be quiet. You're walking as quiet as you can to sneak up on that prey. If you're
Right.
out there camping, yeah, you're going to be drinking, maybe having a good time, whatever. But what they do, oh yeah, this thing's going to eat donuts because I eat donuts.
See, he laughs because he knows who you're talking about.
But I got another question for you. This is totally um, now a lot of people have because if they know anything about Bigfoot and done any research, they know about the Patterson film footage. Okay, that get taken like I think it was 1967, if I'm correct.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. A lot of people said, well, it's a hoax, and then you got a lot of people that believes it's real. What do you believe?
100% real. I mean, I know Bob Gimlin personally. He's a wonderful man. Um, and I always said that if it was ever a fake film that, a hoax, he wasn't on with it and on board with it, didn't know anything about it, but it's not. I mean, if you look at the work that Bill Munns has done, and if you're not familiar with Bill Munns, he's like a creature replica guy. He's like a molder and a sculptor and he builds costumes for a living. He
Right,
did the creature from the Black Lagoon. He's done King Kong
Hmm.
stuff, and so he
right,
did a lot. Really, he went into the Patterson Gimlin film trying to disprove it, going, okay, I'm gonna prove this thing's fake. And what ended up happening was it made him a believer that it was absolutely real.
Hmm.
And so it's 100% real in my opinion. There's just too much that is screams that it's real. Not just the year that it was filmed, but also the costume. They didn't make costumes like that back then.
well,
You can actually
no,
see muscle movement, and yeah,
right. I mean, they would have made the Planet of the Apes movies a lot better than they did back then.
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, Joe.
Well, the whole thing is that's one of the things I was actually going to get to is the muscle movement. You can literally see the muscle
Right,
movement under the hair. The only way they would have ever been able to do that back in that era or in that time frame is if they actually meticulously glued hair to the person's body. And they would have had to not just that, they would have had to convince a female who was around 6'5" to actually let them do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I mean, you can see the toes come down and flop down. You can
Yes.
you can just the sheer size of the thing. You have
yeah,
the
that's
obviously it's a female Sasquatch with the breast. I mean, there's just so much about that film. I think if you honestly take a look at it, Bob Hieronymus he was the guy that said he was the guy in the suit, and he was like he was under 6 foot. I mean,
There,
uh,
no,
yeah,
there is no way. You look at that film. You look at
well,
that figure. You know that figure's over 6 feet tall.
yeah.
technology back then wouldn't, and the costume making back then wouldn't allow for something to come out that good.
Oh hell no.
No, no, and that aside, even the film aside, you have the tracks that were casted in that area that back it up, and that
Right.
were found by multiple people. Um, so I mean, yeah, it's to me that's just one of the greatest pieces of film that we have.
That
Period.
that is one of the most clear and authentic films ever taken of a Bigfoot that I have ever seen in my entire life. And I've actually done research on it too because we do all of it. We do the full spectrum. I've got history from when I was a kid in California of knowing about spirits and I actually seen UFOs. And I've literally when I was 8 years old, I literally seen a square shaped UFO fly over our house.
Wow.
It went over our house, and at the time, my dad had a 50-foot CB antenna on top of the house, and that thing cleared it, and it was bigger than our house too. So yeah, we like I said, we cover the whole spectrum. So I've been interested in all of that. So I did do some of my or a lot of my research into the Bigfoots and stuff, and it's interesting. You know, a lot of people are saying that the Bigfoot is actually a descendant of a supposed extinct um, ape, which is the
Gigantopithecus
yeah,
black. Yeah, yeah.
yes, the Gigantopithecus. But I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I think it's a and this is just my theory. I think it's an interdimensional creature.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got an opinion, and right now nobody can prove anything. So all opinions are good. Personally, I don't come from that approach based on a lot of the stuff we've been working on, including a nest find we came across that were led to by a timber surveyor. We found hand impressions and cast foot impressions and rocks that had score marks on them, hair that Dr. Jeff Meldrum's looked at, and others, Cindy Dosen out of Canada, Homini Enigma, and his primate hair. It's got a red pigmentation, no medulla, which seems to be the general consensus that Sasquatch does not have a medulla in their hair. If you think of a pencil, that'd be the lead. So this is something that rates trash cans, apparently. It eats roadkill. It crosses roads. I always say if it walks like a duck, acts like a duck, it's probably duck. And everything I've come across over the years and been led to tells me that this is a biological creature, small in number, spread out, when you even look at like birthing rates, I put them closer to like an orangutan. They give probably birth every 6 to 8 years. And that's why they're so rare. I mean, there's just not that many of them out there.
It's a possibility too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's everybody's got an opinion, and right now nobody can prove anything. So one opinion is as good as another.
But in order to stay elusive like they are too, they got to be a smart, an intelligent species.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about the king and the queen of the woods, experts, we consider ourselves smart, but we're smart within our environments. You get in the woods, and like Sasquatch, they live in the woods. They're going to be the smartest thing out there. Very fast, very strong, very elusive, very cunning, so they're very intelligent. But for their environment, they're geniuses for their environment, I think.
Well, yeah.
Well, most animals, I should say predators, are experts of their environment. They have to be in order to survive. You could be walking through the woods, and you should know this if you've been out there enough. You could be surrounded by wolves and not know it until it's almost too late. Yeah,
I mean, cougar, bear. I've been around them all, especially bear a lot recently. Something's always watching you. Right. 9 times out of 10, it's a known animal. Something. You're in the woods. Something.
But you won't have a clue.
Always watch.
You won't have a clue if you're not paying attention.
Nope.
And even then, when you're paying attention, you might not even know that you're being stalked.
Exactly. And up here in Pacific Northwest, we have areas where you got 9 foot tall huckleberry, evergreen huckleberry, and you can't see, a few feet in front of you, let alone any, hundreds of yards, and you're going through that stuff. Anything could be in those areas, and you would never know. Yep. I mean, yeah.
So Bigfoot can stay pretty elusive too. Then
we have up in the Pacific Northwest, and that includes Alaska. There's like 56 some odd missing planes. We're talking about stationary objects. Okay, yeah. Stationary objects. They can't find. So looking for something like a Sasquatch is like a moving needle in a haystack. So good luck. I mean,
right?
It's yeah.
Well, that's some of the biggest worldliness in the world, right there. Is all of the California region, the mountains, the Sierra Nevadas, and all the way up into Oregon and Washington,
and Canada. How many people go missing in those woods?
And then Alaska, like you said, Alaska is one of the most unpopulated states we have for human population. For animal population, it's overwhelming.
Exactly. It was funny. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she's looking through this fact book today, and she goes, talking about the Minnesota and how many lakes are in Minnesota. And then she looks at Alaska, and I can't remember the number. It's either 3 million or 11 million. And I can't remember the number. I know it's a big change, a big difference, but there's like 11 million lakes in Alaska. And they said it would take you, if you saw 5 a day, it would take you like 1,000 years to see them all. So Alaska's huge.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. Alaska's actually, if I remember correctly, it is our biggest state.
Yeah.
Bigger than Texas. And Texas is, for the lower 48s, Texas is the biggest state pretty much.
Right. It's massive too. But yeah,
And,
Alaska, it's just ridiculously big.
Well, because a lot of people don't think of it that way because of the fact, if you look at a map, when they portray Alaska, it doesn't even look that big on the map. It's just like a little like archipelago up there.
Yeah. It's not accurate.
That's all people see. They don't actually see that it is huge. It is just massive for land area. So, you take that and figure, okay, that's the largest one. And if you was to bring that down actually onto the top of the United States, the West Coast like that, it would cover Washington, Oregon, and at least 2/3 of California.
Oh, it would swallow them up. Massive.
Easy.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about it, just how massive that state is. And, it's one of those states that has a lot of reports, but
oh yeah,
how many reports go undocumented or untold because people are in remote areas and they don't venture those areas.
Right. No, yeah, true. So have you been up around Alaska doing any research up there?
No, it's I've been to a lot of states, but I've yet to go to Alaska. I got friends up in Alaska, so I have an outlet there, but no, I have not been up to Alaska. Looking forward to getting out there. Because I got friends up there that have had encounters, or know people that have had encounters out there in some really remote areas where you have to take a plane or a boat to get to that are way outside civilization. So it's on my radar one of these years.
How about Canada? Have you been up into Canada doing anything up there?
I've been up to Canada, but not for research or Sasquatch related stuff. And I haven't been to Canada in a number of years. But like I said, we got so much going on up here in Washington in the Olympics. It's really hard for me to pull me anywhere else. It really is.
So you got a lot of activity happening up there then?
Yeah, so we've been 2016. A timber surveyor came across these ground nests, and they range in size from about 3 to 4 feet to upwards of 8.5 to 9 feet. All made out of huckleberry, over 1 foot in depth. And they look like, in all intents and purposes, like a giant bird's nest, but on the ground. And we were led there by this timber surveyor because in his 27 years, he had never come across anything like this. And so he invited a couple of LIMP project members out there, and DNR, Department of Natural Resources, and one of the timber landowners out there. And none of them, over 200 years of woods experience, I had ever seen anything like this. And to date, we've discovered 24 nests, spread out over this ridge line.
Wow.
One and another. We just found a new one in February. After 4 years, we found a brand new one. We walked in on something making one. My partner Todd Hale and I were out in this area. We walked in on something making one of these. We didn't see it, but we were going down into a ravine, and these nests are all on fingers or plateaus coming off a ridge. And we get down in there, and this thing goes down into the ravine and circles up behind us, and we got a little spooked out. It's getting dark, so we backed out a little bit, waited. We think it left, so we went back to where we had heard it. And no joke, I mean, there was huckleberry snaps and breaks everywhere, and there was a big pile of huckleberry that was starting to be formed into a nest. And so we're like, wow, we finally did it after 4 years, finding a brand new nest, but one that was actually in the making. And out of that, we actually got 2 hand impressions, 3 technically, 2.5, multiple 14 size inch foot impressions, hair, and just a lot of evidence. I think, like I said, we invited Dr. Jeff Meldrum's been out to this area. Cliff Barrickman, who's a good friend of ours, he came out and helped cast some of this stuff because he's pretty much an expert in casting. And so this area right now is an area that's been on our radar since 2016. It's got a lot of reports, both with the Native Americans to settlers to people nowadays. We have a ton of audio. That's another piece. We have a ton of audio recorded from this area. So we have like the full gamut. The only thing we don't have is a Sasquatch. So other than that, it's an amazing thing. And we've been so glued to that, camping in this area, not in the nest area. We camp hundreds of yards away, but just doing a lot of different stuff, seeing if it is indeed Sasquatch. Are they there year round? Are they passing through? Why are they making nests? And we got our theories on that. One of them is that it's a birthing area.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you were saying there, camping not in the nest area but away from it, like hundreds of yards, pretty smart to do because you don't know the aggressiveness of the species, and if you're too close to that territorial, man, you might wind up missing.
You know what? When we walked down into that originally, that new nest pine, Todd Hale and I, that was going through my head. I thought if this is indeed a Sasquatch and it's got a little one around, it'd be like walking in on a mama bear and her cub. Probably a bad situation.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what kind of mama bear it is. It could be a brown bear, black bear, grizzly, or
it could be a panda. I mean,
and she'll have you. I used to chase bears out of encampments at the lodge I worked at in California, and I know I had a big mama. She's probably she had to be at least 600 pounds.
Wow, that's a big.
She had 3 cubs following her, and you dare not even come close to approaching her.
Right.
It was my job to chase them out. That time, it was my job to stay in the damn office.
Yeah. I don't blame you there. We bump into bears quite a lot, but 10 times out of 10, they'll just run away. As you know, they'll just take off and run away.
That's your brown and black bears. But if you run into a grizzly,
oh no,
you got to be very careful with that.
Right.
And that's where I come in with this aggressiveness. You don't know the aggressiveness of the species that you're trying to study, because grizzlies, they're aggressive. They're flat out aggressive. It does not matter. You can make as much noise as you want. They will not run from you like a black bear or a brown bear will.
Yeah. I mean, with Sasquatch, I just go off of my experiences. I think. I think anything can be aggressive. You can be aggressive. I can be aggressive. A bear, a cougar, you name it. Deer, elk, they can all be aggressive in the moment. Mm-hmm. My experiences thus far have been, I guess the worst experience was my encounter where it was just a rock. We had a rock thrown at the camp and stomping and breaking and tree banging and all that, but never tore down our camp. We could have disappeared real easy. It was more of an intimidation thing. So that goes to the intelligence, I think, of Sasquatch.
Right.
But can it be aggressive? Oh yeah, you don't know how aggressive. Honestly, it could be very aggressive. Who knows?
They were probably just telling you were too close.
I think so.
That could have been it. They may be saying, "Hey, don't even try to come near us." Yeah. But you also got to think too. If they are obviously if they're bipedal like that and they have that appearance of a primate, all primates are fairly stronger than a human is, even though we are kind of like a primate. So they're what, 3 to 5 times stronger than us normally. A gorilla, I think, is like 5 times stronger than a normal human.
Yeah, some like 3 to 5 times. I know chimps, and they're like 3 to 5 times stronger. So I can only imagine what a Sasquatch, the strength there.
Oh, exactly. I mean. And what are the sizes of some of the branches that you've seen snapped in half?
Oh, well, with the huckleberry specifically, you're talking about a 1/4 inch to 2 inches, 3 inches in diameter. But that was snapped to make a nest.
Right.
I've seen much bigger branches broken, but it's unless I can find a trackway or something of that nature, I kind of throw those out the window. I like supporting evidence. But I've seen some massive ones. I mean, massive limbs broken in some of these areas. So, makes you wonder, why. But obviously, they're that strong.
Right.
You and I, we could not. We couldn't break anything of that caliber.
And were these limbs, how high up off of the ground are they, or are they close to the ground?
Oh yeah, good point. So in this area where these nests are being made, and they're just a small area, you get outside it, you don't see it. The tree canopy is so thick you can't see over down below through like a drone.
Okay.
You get down in there, the huckleberry is just thick. But then you get down into the nest area, it's devastated. Some of all the huckleberry leaves been plucked off. Huckleberry boughs broken, upwards from a foot off the ground to 9 feet off the ground with no teeth or claw marks. As Dr. Meldrum will tell you, it took something with an opposable thumb to break these, and something with strength in many cases. Because that huckleberry, when it's ripe, it's hard to break, especially anything over an inch. It's like, wow, forget about it.
Right. No, that's why I kind of went that line of direction.
Yeah.
To kind of get an idea. So, what kind of evidence have you gotten so far besides your visual evidence that you're talking about?
So, a lot of times, evidence is personal because science as a whole won't look at it. So you accumulate it, and that's kind of what the Lent Project is doing. It's just collecting data, and so a lot of the stuff we're doing is collecting data, a lot of data on where the sightings are happening, how they're happening, when they're happening, barometric pressure, moon phase, all that stuff. So we got that database. And then we have, like personally, I've gotten something walking by a trail camera, bipedal back in not too far away from the nest site, but an area I was camping with my travel trailer. I got something bipedal walking by. We've got thermal hits recorded in a couple of different areas. Loads of casts. Of all shapes and sizes.
One right behind you.
Oh, that's a hand impression. I don't know if you can see that too great, but yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, try to turn it. That was actually found in one of the nest sites. Well, not in the actual nest site, just adjacent where we think this thing kind of circled up behind us. It took Cliff Berrickman about 15 pounds of plaster because it was on a slope, and he had to pile it up, and it was pretty gnarly. So that was just one of the hand impressions. Yeah, and then like I said, we got loads of casts and all that, and they're all great. We got hair. And then loads like David Ellis on the project. He's got probably the biggest database of supposed Sasquatch recordings out there. I don't think there's anybody who's got any more recordings than he does. And it's he doesn't just listen to audio; he visually looks at it through like a spectrograph. So I mean, we have a plethora of data. We have a plethora of data, plethora of evidence. We're not actually out there to try and prove the existence of Sasquatch. Really, we're just collecting data because we do believe at one point in time Sasquatch will be proven to exist, and we'll just have this data ready to go. We're trying to reach out to other, through like a project I'm working on with Amy Boo. She's the creator of a thing called Project Zoo Book. She's out there in Ohio, and she created this Project Zoo Book so that we can collaborate with scientists, and we do private meetings. Like it's kind of a giant think tank, and we have all sorts of academic individuals from all walks of life that are in the Sasquatch closet, as I like to call it, but that are sitting on the sidelines watching, giving us information, sharing ideas that are heavily interested in the subject matter. And so I'm stoked about the future. I'm hoping that more academic individuals will come forward.
What do you think it's going to take to prove its existence?
That is the money question. Yeah, obviously a body would be that would solidify it, right? A body or a good sized body portion. I don't know if bones per se will prove anything yet. One of the things we've been working on over the years is getting good samples for environmental DNA and sending those off to places so they can go through the soil and tell you what's in that soil and if anything sticks out. And we've had a little bit of success. I don't necessarily think that'll prove Sasquatch exists, but I think it's a great step going forward. I think we need is if you don't have a body, you need film evidence, you need some sort of cellular evidence, cells, something, blood, something, and that'll do the trick. But there's a lot of individuals out there working on some unique stuff and angles, and I really do believe it's a matter of time for this thing's proven to exist. So hopefully, if someone comes across a body, it'll be a guy that hits one in his truck or something. Who knows?
Well, there's also a story out there. It's probably urban legend of this hunter that claims he came across one and shot it and killed it, but he never picked the body up and brought it in for examination because it was an adolescent and he didn't want to be accused of killing a kid. Justin
Smeha out of California. Yeah,
Right.
my buddy Derek Randall's actually was one of the first guys on the scene down there, and Bart Catino. I know that whole gang. I know Justin. I don't know Justin personally. It's one of those things where I think there's some truth to his story. I just don't know what that truth is. And I know I have friends that are full believers in that story, and then friends that are saying, no, the guy's full of, crap. I don't know. It either happened or didn't. They did do some DNA stuff, and it came back bare, apparently. So it's I don't know what to believe with that one. It's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that is fairly interesting. I mean, you hear all different kinds of tales. So I guess sometimes you gotta think I mean, you're obviously catching something. You're obviously getting some evidence on and data on some sort of creature that's there. But with, I guess, okay. So would you think that maybe um, today's technology is the reason why we're having more sightings and more evidence show up, or would you think that maybe it's because the population of this planet is getting more out of hand and more places that normally wouldn't be explored or being explored?
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is a little bit of both. Definitely, technology is catching up. More people are carrying cameras around. More people are carrying GoPros, audio recorders. Everybody has a cell phone,
Hmm.
and more people are going to the woods. And we're enclosing on that. We're building houses. I moved up to this area in Washington where I live now, and I'm in the woods. But I just outside of me, I'm seeing things pop up left and right. We're not getting smaller as in population, and we're
No,
expanding.
we're
And
not.
so, yeah, we're expanding. So to me, it's just a combination of both technology, and also I also believe too a comfortability factor when it comes to um, sharing stuff. Both the BFRO was a pillar in doing that.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people don't like the show Finding Bigfoot and these other shows, but really it's brought a lot of people out of the woodwork. I mean, I've literally even on my radio show talked to people that said, yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but I was watching this show Finding Bigfoot, and I decided, hey, what the heck? People are talking
I
about it.
watch
So
it all the time.
yeah, I mean, I'm good. I'm good friends with Bobo and Cliff. They're friends of mine, and they don't do the show anymore, but they're good guys, and they're actually, I mean, show aside, they're actually really solid investigators. They've been doing it for years, and they don't
Well,
share
I,
everything they do, but they're out in the woods a lot.
I know those shows are a lot about ratings and money. So, but
Yeah,
they got
exactly.
to do what the network wants them to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. So, yeah, but your question mark there, yeah, I think it's a combination of a few different things. One hopes that Sasquatch is real to me. There's no doubt about it. But one hopes that there's a viable, good-sized population out there, and that they don't go extinct. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Well, that's one of the things I'm just trying to kind of figure out too on that is, what would their lifespan be? I mean, is that something else that's causing the sightings to actually go up even too? Or is their population starting to grow better and faster?
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. I wouldn't even want to guess at their age. I would guess that it's, probably, I mean, as a guess, 60 to 80 years, maybe less, and, maybe a lot less, maybe 50 years. I don't think, I don't think they're expanding per se as a species. I think they're probably staying about the same, if not going down, based on them being pushed in areas that, I mean, old growth forests being taken down, clear
Hmm.
cuts popping up left and right. So, I mean, no one's proven they exist, but no one's definitely proven what they eat and what if they need certain environmental requirements, which could be
Right.
all factored in. A lot of species get endangered because you take out an old growth forest, and it's like a pyramid effect. You take down a big tree,
Yep.
well, that flying squirrel lives in the tree, and that the fox preys on that flying squirrel, and blah blah blah. Certain fungus grows
Hmm.
on that tree. So we just don't know. We don't know anything, and it's kind of a shame. And that's really what I want to do is just collect as much data about them, so that
Yeah.
maybe if they're proven exist, we can do something about it.
At this point, all you can do is guess
Yeah,
Well, yeah. Yeah.
based on what you do know. I guess I mean, you go at what most primates would eat when they were out there, and based on its size, yeah, I guess if there was deer out there, it'd probably prey on the deer.
Well, that's the thing. Are they actually omnivores? Are they herbivores? Are they carnivores?
Yeah, I fully believe they're omnivorous. They're omnivores because there's so many reports where there have been taking down deer. I mean, we got one 2 years ago from a couple of ladies that were out glassing for elk, and they saw this huge arm come out of the woods and grab this elk and drag it in there, freaked them out.
Okay, that right there.
Or what about down
that
by the
story
river
right
eating
there?
the fish? Getting
Yeah,
fish.
fish.
From the river.
Yeah. This nest site that we're working on, there's a seasonal salmon creek down there that gets absolutely chock block. You can walk across the salmon at certain times of the year. I definitely think they're, and then you got the huckleberries and you got the Oregon grape and the salmonberry and the, wild strawberry. I mean, there's just so much food in these areas.
Yep.
It's crazy.
But that story you just said about the ladies supposedly seeing the arm come out and grab the elk and pull it in. Think about that. That's the strength of a bear, and not just any bear. That's the strength of like a 9-foot grizzly.
Right. Because
Now-
bull elk, they can weigh up over 1,000 pounds. So
They can weigh, yes, they can weigh anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. I know
Yeah.
that because my brother lives in Montana. He's been wanting me to come up and go hunting with him, and he keeps bragging about the fact that where his house is, he can walk out on his back porch, shoot an elk, go back inside, have breakfast, and then take the quad down and drag the elk up.
wow. Yeah. My brother lives in Idaho, and he got his bull this year, and it was a big sucker. Wow.
So yeah, I know how big those elk can get. So that's why I was saying, with that story you just said there, that is like some massive strength to be able to just grab an elk and pull it in like that.
Yeah, unbelievable, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because elk are a very strong animal too. They're kind of like they would have the pull of like a horse.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, not a creature you want to mess with on a bad day. Elk.
No. Now, if you would have said moose, I would have been like, you need to quit what you're doing. No.
Right.
Because having something like that pull a moose in, that would even scare me.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
But yeah. So do you have any stuff other than your hand caster that you want to show off, or
I don't have anything yet. We have up in the Olympics. I'm about 2 hours from our research hub up in the Olympics, and we got a huge place up there with a lot of our casts and stuff up there. I do have some in my garage, but I don't have anything available. I just happen to have that sitting there because I was studying it earlier, and
Okay.
But yeah, offhand, I don't have anything available, unfortunately.
no pictures?
Not here, no. On my laptop, buried somewhere.
Well, I thought maybe I'd give you the opportunity if you wanted to.
I appreciate it.
So any plans on going anywhere other than the Olympics, or
We do, yeah, we do. There's another research area down in southern Washington we visit. I've been down there recently because there's been a uptake in activity, some really odd stuff, especially recordings. We were down there a couple of months back and had a very large tree come down next to our camp, and it was quite an experience. So we got that area. We got the Olympics. Other than that, no, I got a couple of speaking engagements coming. I got one in Ohio coming up in May, I believe. And then I've been invited to speak out in Eastern Washington at another event in June. So other than that, I'm going to be stuck at doing what we're doing now. We got a couple of trips planned out at the end of February here. We're going to be out for a week in this nesting area, looking for newer nests and seeing if anything's been back. Doing our long-term audio stuff, where we're recording for upwards of 20, 30 days. And just exploring the area and seeing, definitely therming. This year, my goal is to get something really good on therm. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed that'll happen. But, who knows? That's my goal.
That'd be nice. So do you set any trail cams out whenever you're doing stuff?
I do. I set up quite a few. What I really lean towards now is I used to put them out in the woods, and put them on a tree. Now I don't even strap them to anything. I usually put them in stumps. I bury them in there in stumps. I like to really conceal them And what I'm really focusing on with trail cameras now, because I mean, I don't know, maybe Sasquatch can smell them, maybe they can see them, maybe they can hear them. Who freaking knows? I don't know. But when you think of a lot of surprise encounters, both with the Sasquatch or the person, they're along riverbeds and creeks where there's a lot of noise, a lot of smells, and reports where Sasquatch is down there doing something in the water, and somebody walks up and the Sasquatch is shocked, and the person's shocked, or the person's fishing and then the Sasquatch up and they're shocked. I think there's an element of surprise around these creeks and rivers, and so I'm putting cameras next to in stumps and stuff next to creeks and rivers where there's a lot of noise, a lot of smell, and I'm really interested in getting a lot of smaller cameras. I've been investing in a lot smaller size cameras because they're coming cheaper and more available.
Well, yeah.
So I think the best chance is going to be to get something on camera. You got to have the right area and the right time. And it really is luck. I mean, it's like winning the lottery as far as I'm concerned, but it can happen. And those are the best spots, I think.
Yeah. What about body cameras? Do you ever think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I carry GoPro with me everywhere I go. GoPro, and if I'm with a group, everybody's pretty much got a camera on them. But like our encounter that we had when we came across this new nest, we didn't get anything on camera, but we got everything captured, everything that transpired, it moving. You could hear it breaking sticks, moving around us, and you got our reaction. And to me, that's just as important. So you can document that. Okay, maybe you missed something that you didn't see with your eyes, but you got on the GoPro. So
Right.
yeah.
Those GoPros work pretty good.
They do. Love-hate relationship with them. they're super expensive, but there's a lot of cameras out there. I just happen to have a GoPro, but there's a lot of good cameras out there. The newer ones, I think I have like a generation 5 or 6. The newer ones, they're more stabilized, but I like them because they're waterproof. You got different features. You can, with them, touch screen. You can place them on all sorts of different little things. Your shoulder, your head. A lot of times I just carry mine because otherwise, if I'm doing this with my head, you start getting dizzy. Much easier just to carry it around. But they were good.
Cool.
I was just curious because I know they're waterproof and stuff, and I know you can put them on things like poles and things like that, so you can put them out in the water and stuff.
Yeah.
So, we've got these underwater pyramids that I'd love to get pictures of.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. Now, GoPro is definitely a way to go, too. And like you said, I used to put one on my walking stick. I notched out a spot on my walking stick, and I just walk with that. And I could put it up high or down low or in crevices, and worked out really good. It's underwater. That's a neat thing, though.
Yeah. The only thing is the lake that he's talking about, they are, it's near where I live, and it's a fairly cloudy lake. So it's kind of really dark green water.
Oh.
When you're out there. So it's kind of hard to be able to really get a good, solid pictures or
It'd
video.
be nice to try.
I think I saw a documentary on that, though. I think they did a documentary, if I'm not mistaken, on that lake with the pyramids.
Lake Mills.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
Rock Lake.
Yeah, Rock
It's
Lake.
the township of Lake Mills, and the lake is Rock Lake.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah, I was very intrigued with that. That's some interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty interesting to know, and that town and lake are near an area called Asylum State Park here in Wisconsin. And Aztalan is an old ancient civilization of they say, I think, Aztec or Aztecian style
Oh, wow, okay.
Indians, and it
Native Americans, yeah.
yeah. So it's a pretty intriguing area that we are around up here.
Yeah, no kidding.
A lot of Native American history on that area. In that area.
And by the way, we do get sightings. We
yeah,
actually do have
I
sightings
was
here
just
for
going to mention
Bigfoot.
something about that,
Yeah.
but you got sidetracked.
Well, you guys have the Beast of Bray Road, am I not right? Or
Yes,
Yes, we do.
yeah, Linda Godfrey. Yeah.
yeah, we spent a lot of time down near Bray Road.
Yeah, that's an area I wouldn't mind visiting if I'm ever passing through.
We've spent a little over 8-9 hours with a guy
Yeah, we
named
got about 8 or 9 hours down there.
with a guy that owns a farm right there on that right there in that area and has a lot of activity. he had a lot of casts to show us. We've got an open invite to go back to his property. So we're not done with Bray Road and the Beasts of Bray Road yet.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of footage, pictures, and stuff like that from that area. And this guy's had the property for I guess going on 8 years now, and he puts trail cams out. I think he's got like 5 of them.
Wow.
He's said he's got over the amount of years that he's owned the property. I think he said he's got close to 200,000 pictures that the trail cams have taken for him.
Wow.
And obviously you're familiar with trail cams, so you know that they can be set up to where it'll snap a sequence of pictures like immediately back to back. Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to have movement and what is it? Movement and heat in order for them to go off. I think it is.
Correct. Yeah. With most of mine, it's just movement. So
Yeah. So we've been talking about your time there with the Olympics and in Washington State, but we haven't mentioned much about your radio station.
oh yeah, I've been doing Monster X Radio. It's been around since about 2013 with my partner Gunnar Monson, who owns Sasquatch Coffee, and pardon me. And we're strictly our subject matter is strictly Sasquatch. We get a lot of great guests, a lot of eyewitnesses on there. We Thomas Seawood is also a partner on our show. He does he's a First Nations person out of Vancouver Island, and spends a lot of time in Washington. And so we just talk Sasquatch, and like I said, we get witnesses and investigators, researchers, and then we also discuss a lot of what we do personally as field investigators and researchers, and some of the stuff going on there. So yeah, and airs weekly. We do 2 to 3 shows a week, and we're picking them up. We kind of got busy there with the whole pandemic and got sidetracked a little bit, as we all did, right? But we're up and running right now, so looking forward to doing some more of that. So yeah,
where can that be found and what days?
So so Monster X Radio, it's all pre-recorded shows. We occasionally do a live show, but you can find Monster X Radio at monsterxradio.com. We're on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, all those formats. And then also our shows are usually launched Mondays and Wednesdays, occasional Friday show. And by 4 p.m. is when we get going here, but Pacific Standard Time. It's a little bit later out there for you folks. But yeah, definitely check out some of our past stuff. It's working on some neat stuff, I think. And we love talking Sasquatch.
Well, yeah, it's an intriguing subject because, like I said, it's they're very elusive and it seems like there's a lot more sightings starting to happen now. So,
yeah, I'll tell you one real quick. I think part of that reason right now specifically is because a lot of people have been stuck indoors, and they're still stuck indoors, or they're stuck in certain places. They're hitting the woods. They're doing camping. If you try to find a camping spot out here, an actual camping site, it's pretty slim pickings. Fortunately, I don't like camp spots. I like to go find remote areas, so I'm okay there. But yeah, I think that's part of it. Just more people getting out to the woods, especially this year, and
I noticed that my brother posted quite a few different times some camping trips this year.
Actually, this last through spring through the fall, I think they went camping like five freaking times.
Yeah, and that's more than normal for them.
Yeah, that's way more than normal for them. So, oh goodness. Well, anything else, Joe?
No, I
sure?
can't even. No, if you could stick around so that we could do a quick little bonus.
That's part of Paraflix that we do.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't even have my calendar in front of me right now. We do have a guest for next Wednesday. I just can't remember who.
You're supposed to be prepared, Joe.
I know. I wasn't today. I've been busy.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So we'll be back Wednesday, 6 p.m. right here. Same place, same time.
Thanks for watching. And Shane, thanks for coming on with us.
Hey, thanks, guys. Enjoyed the conversation.
And everyone stay safe. See you next week.